There's just something about micarta on a pocket knife that I immediately gravitate to. And so when I can find it on a pocket knife that has a blade style to match the aesthetics of the handle, I immediately have got to try it out. So we're gonna take a dive into the Civivi Cetos, which was a Greek mythological creature sent by Poseidon that Perseus slew. And it definitely does have like a sea monster kind of vibe to its style and profile. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Aaron, this is Gideon's Tactical, and I invite you to hit that like button and to consider subscribing and make sure to hit that bell icon if you're interested and enjoy videos on breakdowns of gear and equipment to help you guys better stay equipped and to stay prepared for all of life's adventures. And in just a few, we'll be talking competitive options and value on this pocket knife, but throughout the entire video, I will have links in the description box below, not only to the gear that we're talking about today, but all the affiliate networks that I regularly partner with. So when it does come time for you to purchase a new blade or gear item, I always appreciate when you check out those links below. And with the pleasantries out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the blade shape first before anything else. Spear point, super cool looking blade shape with that swedge up top that kind of drops down into that spear point. And then that fuller just looks so cool. I love the fuller style on there that this knife has. And then a nice light little hit of jimping right there. We'll talk about ergonomics a little bit later. On a flat grind as Sandvik 14C28N steel, an excellent stainless steel. Very competitive with like VG10 and 154CM, so you're going to get a lot of performance. It kind of floats. It's kind of on the lower end a little bit, but in edge retention, but toughness and durability, it's excellent for a stainless steel like that, and definitely surpasses, you know, AUS 8 or HCR type of steels. Now, one thing I do appreciate is that this blade length is going to be 3.48 inches from handle to tip. Cutting edge is about 3 1/4 on an 1/8 of an inch thick blade. And a lot of, you know, knife companies, sometimes they do like 3.6 on the overall blade length, but Civivi tends to do a really good job of keeping their larger blades, unless they are really going for like pushing 4 inches, under that 3.5. And I know a lot of states in the union, you know, 3.5 is the limit, and sometimes those knife laws can be pretty tight. And so being able to keep it under that limit is excellent, but giving you the maximum amount of capability. And it's not like over by just a millimeter or two, or, you know, an 1/8 of an inch, and then you're like, okay, well, it's like basically there, but not there. So it's just good to see that size range, perfect for this style of knife, giving you a lot of capability. Now, obviously, it's designed as more of a piercing blade, so penetrating packaging and those type of activities is good. It's a thinner from edge to spine blade on a flat grind, even though it's an 1/8 of an inch thick. So it slices good, but it's not like a full flat grind, just insane slicer, or if it had a hollow grind on it, it would be a better slicer for cardboard and food prep. But for general utility, particularly in a thinner, more piercing blade shape, it works really well. Now, this color combo is like a black stonewash. You can kind of see the particulates of the stonewash in there. You can get the blade stonewash, or you can even get a Damascus style blade material if that's something that you're interested in this particular model. So those of you who like that, that option is also available. Now, you've got two ways to deploy the blade. The first is with that little flipper. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I really like that it's a very low profile flipper. The jimping is perfect. It's not too aggressive, but it's not non-existent. And when you engage it, I don't even have to flick my wrist. Bam, gonna fly right open. And I like, let me just highlight that, I guess. It works great as a little guard, but it's not this massive, just like thing that kind of throws off the symmetry. And in fact, if we look at the symmetry, it actually lines up perfectly with the back handle kind of lip bird beak on the back end. So just the symmetry of the tool is excellent. The only downside is there are definitely times, because it's pretty minute and not very pronounced, that I try to hit it and I kind of slip off and I don't engage it the very first time, and I have to rethink, okay, reset, pull, boom, good to go. So that happens every once in a while. Some of that's just the nature of a low profile flipper, but also it has to do with the detent ball. The detent ball is excellent. I mean, this thing is not coming out, so you definitely have to work a little bit to overcome the detent. But if I had a choice between an extremely light detent or a slightly strong detent, I'll take strong detent any day of the week. The second way is with that fuller. It's on either side of the blade. Not only does it give it that excellent just design styling, but it also allows me to do a reverse flick if I want to, or kind of a slow opening. If I needed to do that for some reason, I can do that as well with that fuller. So I just kind of just depends on my feeling in the moment, what I do. It's definitely fidget friendly in that way where I just will sit there and just do the back flick oftentimes and drop it down. And that goes right into deployment. Now you can see that there. I definitely have to kind of like snake it in. And it's interesting because I see bronze in there. So it's caged ceramic ball bearings around bronze housing. It looks like bronze washers, honestly, but everything I'm reading says ceramic ball bearings, caged ceramic ball bearings. So you would expect it to be a little bit more like something like this, where it just like flies, wee. But I think some of that is the tension of the frame lock that holds it from kind of doing that. I mean, it's not slow by any means, but it's not like flying around on those ball bearings, and that will lead us right into that lock up there. I have a little rock side to side, which is usually what you get with ball bearings, but it's very solid up and down. That frame lock, I keep saying liner lock, that frame lock is doing really well. And the stop bar is actually caged as well inside the micarta and runs on a little track. So I mean, the execution, the little details there of just making it streamlined, elegant, precise is just really cool and really functioning well. So the deployment, I love all that. We got that stainless steel side with that frame lock, and I believe whatever the color of the blade is going to be matching with the stainless steel. So if you get black blade, black stainless steel. If you get stonewash, it'll be stonewash, I believe, is my understanding. So you got some nice etching in back here just to give it that flexibility. It's not overly flexible, and it's got a good thickness to it and hits about 40% of the blade there. A little cut in that's been rounded. It's really close to being flush with the rest of the handle, meaning ergonomically it is great. You're not going to get this weird cut in or hot spot, and it's not sharp, which is what's one of the competitive options I'm going to highlight here in a moment has. So it's nice and smooth, but it's so flush that, you know, if you had gloves on or just have really thick fingers, you could find yourself kind of sliding off every once in a while. I mean, I haven't really done that, but I could just see that being something. One other thing that I noticed, I've looked all over the place, I'm not seeing an over travel stop of any kind. I think they're relying on the pocket clip to do that for you. It would have been a nice little feature. You know, everything else seems to be just like every detail is hit. That seems to be overlooked. There's no plate inside to keep it from over traveling, and there's no other disc exteriorly to do that. Now I've tried to make it over travel, and I can't really get it to go past like about 1 millimeter, and it hasn't affected the lockup at all, but that is just something to kind of be aware of. Dead center through with the blade. Since we're here, it's the pocket clip, you know, on almost every Civivi, so it would have been nice just to have something kind of different because it's not ambidextrous, so sorry lefties, can't swap it. I mean, the fuller is ambidextrous, the flipper's ambidextrous. It would have been nice to have just a little plate that they could have swapped or something. It is recessed screws, Civivi just crushing it with that, every company. I'm seeing more companies following suit, but you know, there's still plenty of them that have the like protruding screws that just make it terrible to carry. Super deep ride, nice and flush, you know, like a little cutout plate in there. It's not like just screwed to the steel. It's like, you know, a cutout, and then so it's nice and flush. No complaints there. I would say light tension. I would like to have a little more tension on that, but not terrible. Now we loop back around to one, to me, really like the connection point, the micarta handle and just how the handle functions. Now we're looking at 4.5 inches overall handle length, so it's gonna fill out larger hands very easily. I'm not up against that bird beak rear end there, and I'm locked nicely into that flipper that acts as that guard. So it just feels very comfortable, as well as the fact that you're gonna get, I believe, 4 different options. Definitely green is what I have here. They have like a brown burlap, they have black, and then I'm not sure what the other color is. At least those 3, maybe 4 different color combinations. Now the micarta is actually overlaid with a little core of stainless steel in the center as well, so it's very rigid, but it's still lightweight for being a 3.5 inch blade at 3.9 ounces, so just a hair under 4 ounces, so excellent there. Flow through construction with some matching standoffs. There is one that is a dedicated lanyard post, so if you're into lanyards, you can do that, or you can obviously run it through some of the gaps on that pocket clip if you want to do that, but there is a post dedicated that the blade will not come near when it's closed, for those of you who like throwing lanyards on your pocket knives. All the edges are contoured, rounded. The scale itself is rounded, you know, it's not like a flat scale, so I mean, it just feels very, very comfortable in the hand. The jimping is kind of a square jimping that gives you a little bit to grab onto, but it's not sharp or aggressive in any way. Now that is not a choil. I don't think it's necessary. Thankfully, it's about almost in line with the scale itself. But when you choke up on it, I definitely, my index finger is kind of like on it. I've never really used it as like a choil. I mean, I guess if you have really small hands, you have like small size hands, then maybe you could kind of use it as a choil if you really want to, but it's not, it doesn't hinder it because it's like huge and a massive choil and it eats up a lot of extra blade length. It doesn't do that, but it's not really functional as a choil and is more of a ricasso. So as promised, let's go ahead and talk pricing, value, and I got 2 competitive options for us to consider. Now this is going for about $63.99, so $64, let's just say 65, just to round it up, make it easy math. 65 bucks on average, just a little bit less than that, for excellent fit and finish. You know, kind of a unique handle material. We don't see that often on pocket knives. Sandvik, excellent, excellently executed. Lots of X's there, XXX. Very competitive for the materials the size of a Chinese-made knife. As a competitive option, we have the GERBER Slim Sawda, also made overseas, D2 steel. And the reason I'm running it in is because it has micarta and it is a frame lock. So micarta handle scales, frame lock, D2, full flat grind, definitely slicier than the Civivi. Definitely like a dedicated choil on the Slim Sawda. And one thing, again, going back to just that idea, this one does have like a pinch plate, so that will help. I don't have an issue deploying frame locks, but some people do. This has a pinch plate, and that is also the over travel stop. Flow through construction, stainless steel, very similar in size, and this guy is going to be about $52 to like $55 on average, so you can save yourself about 10 bucks for that. Now, the difference will be, it's very angled. It's kind of sharp angles. The edges, and particularly the frame lock edge, is quite sharp, and you definitely feel it when you're like removing and disengaging the lock, whereas all of the angles are much rounder, just feels more refined. The GERBER styling feels definitely more like mechanical and modern, whereas the Civivi feels more natural and organic in its styling. And more for fun because it's $200 more than the Civivi, but American-made bailout with M4 steel from Benchmade. Very similar profile and very similar feeling. They're slim, they're kind of sleek, quick in the hand, quick in the pocket, doesn't take up a lot of real estate, but on the larger profile because of their size, meaning long, you know. So that's just something, if you already own a bailout or even maybe like the bug out, it's gonna be it's gonna feel a little bit like that, but just in different materials and obviously with that frame lock. See, I just missed that flipper. Sometimes I gotta like readjust to hit that. So there's some excellent attributes. I do appreciate Civivi sending this over to me so I could test it out, show you guys pros, cons, and just see what its capabilities and limitations are so that you can determine whether or not it's worth throwing in your guys' rotation. There's definitely some really cool styling there with excellent fit and finish and quality control. So appreciate you guys. Look forward to hearing your thoughts. What do you think about this Civivi and how it stacks up to the competition? If you own one already, what's been your experience with it? I always appreciate those comments. And until next time, I invite you to check out the other video and to again subscribe. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.